Hello everyone and welcome. This is Martin speaking. In this episode, we will discuss three very important topics. Putin's grain game. Is Russia holding the world's food supply hostage? Putin rejects Ukraine deal. Why this could trigger a global food crisis. Breaking. Putin says he's ready to deal, but only on his terms. Topic number 1. Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that the restoration of a significant grain export deal, allowing Ukraine to export grain safely through the Black Sea, is contingent upon the West meeting Moscow's demands on its own agricultural exports. This statement comes following discussions between Putin and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, raising hopes of potentially reviving the agreement, which is crucial for global food supplies, especially in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Russia had previously refused to extend the deal, citing unfulfilled commitments from the West regarding the removal of obstacles to Russian exports of food and fertilizers, leading to restricted shipping and insurance and hampering agricultural trade. Despite Russian claims, Ukraine and its Western allies dismissed these demands as a strategy to serve Russia's own interests. Consequently, there is uncertainty surrounding the prospects of reaching a resolution and restoring the agreement. Both Ukraine and Russia play a significant role as major suppliers of wheat, barley, sunflower oil, and other goods relied upon by developing nations. Data shows that 57% of the grain from Ukraine was allocated to developing nations, with China being the top recipient. Although grain prices initially surged following Russia's withdrawal from the deal, they have since fallen back, suggesting that there is currently no major food shortage. However, food security experts express concerns about the long-term implications, particularly due to the potential impacts of the El Niño weather phenomenon. Russia's decision to withdraw from the grain deal greatly affected developing nations that heavily relied on these supplies. In response to criticisms, Putin announced that Russia is nearing the finalization of an agreement to provide free grain to 6 African countries. Furthermore, he pledged to ship 1 million metric tons of affordable grain to Turkey for processing and delivery to impoverished nations. In addition to the grain deal, Russia has also been involved in conflicts with Ukraine in the Odessa region, where Ukraine's primary Black Sea port is located. The ongoing tensions between the two countries add further complexity to the situation, potentially affecting the prospects of resolving the grain agreement. Drawing conclusions from the available information, it is evident that the restoration of the grain deal between Ukraine and Russia is currently uncertain. Both sides have their respective demands and concerns, with Russia emphasizing the need for its agricultural exports to be facilitated by Western nations. Developing nations, particularly those heavily reliant on Ukrainian and Russian grain exports, are closely monitoring the situation, as their food security may be at stake. The market for grain experienced volatility following Russia's withdrawal from the deal, but experts warn of potential future challenges, particularly considering the potential impacts of the El Niño weather phenomenon. The resolution of the grain deal is highly anticipated, and its outcome will have significant implications for global food supplies. What are your thoughts on this topic? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Topic number 2. Putin rejects Ukraine deal. Why this could trigger a global food crisis. The recent meeting between Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Russian President Vladimir Putin had hopes of reviving a deal that allowed Ukraine to export grain under safe conditions. However, Putin made it clear that the initiative would not be restored at this time. The talks concluded with Putin dismissing the possibility of reviving the grain deal, stating that the West needed to fulfill certain demands related to facilitating Russian agricultural exports. The West has previously dismissed similar complaints, asserting that there are no barriers preventing Russian exports. The Kremlin's refusal to renew the grain agreement, which expired in July, stemmed from its claim that a parallel deal facilitating Russian exports of food and fertilizer had not been honored. Moscow voiced dissatisfaction with shipping and insurance restrictions that impeded its agricultural trade, despite recording record amounts of wheat shipments since last year. Some companies were hesitant to engage in business with Russia due to sanctions, although Western countries have assured that Russian food and fertilizer exports are exempt. The initial agreement, brokered by the United Nations and Turkey in July 2022, allowed nearly 33 million metric tons, 36 million tons of grain and other commodities to be safely exported from 3 Ukrainian ports, even amidst Russia's ongoing conflict. Turkey, acting as a broker, played a significant role in these discussions due to the close rapport between Erdogan and Putin. Both leaders have been in power for over 2 decades and developed their relationship following a failed coup against Erdogan in 2016, with Putin being the first major leader to offer support. Turkey has continued to maintain close ties with Russia throughout the 18-month conflict. While Turkey has refrained from joining Western sanctions against Russia, it has emerged as a prominent trading partner and logistical hub for Russia's overseas trade. Simultaneously, Turkey has also provided support to Ukraine, supplying arms, engaging in meetings with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and endorsing Kyiv's aspiration to join the Western alliance. Since Putin's withdrawal from the initiative, Erdogan has repeatedly expressed his commitment to renewing arrangements that have helped prevent food crises in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Ukraine and Russia are key suppliers of wheat, barley, sunflower oil, and other essential goods relied upon by developing nations. Although Turkey and Russia have been traditional adversaries, particularly in conflicts such as those in Syria, Libya, and Nagorno-Karabakh, their relationship has flourished across multiple sectors, including energy, defense, diplomacy, tourism, and trade. However, Putin's domestic challenges, including the brief armed rebellion led by late mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin in June, may have contributed to a perception of him being a less reliable partner. Erdogan also drew Moscow's ire in July for allowing 5 Ukrainian commanders, who had been captured by Russia, to return home instead of honoring the condition that they remain in Turkey for the duration of the conflict. Is there a possibility of a breakthrough in the future? Erdogan expressed optimism, stating that Turkey and the United Nations have prepared a new package of proposals. He believes that a solution that meets expectations can be reached shortly. Putin also held on to the hope of renewing the deal, conditioned on the fulfillment of demands. However, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock criticized Putin's stance on the grain agreement as cynical. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres recently sent Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov concrete proposals aimed at facilitating Russian exports to global markets and resuming the Black Sea Initiative. However, Lavrov expressed dissatisfaction with the contents of the letter, indicating that Moscow was not content with the proposals presented. Given the global implications and potential impacts on various regions, it is essential to consider different perspectives on this matter. What are your thoughts on the rejection of the Ukraine grain deal revival by Putin? Please share your opinions in the comments. Topic number 3. Breaking. Putin says he's ready to deal, but only on his terms. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced on Monday that Moscow is willing to reinstate the Black Sea grain deal once certain conditions are met. Speaking at a press conference after talks with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Sochi, Putin stated that Russia is prepared to revive the grain deal once all restrictions on the export of Russian agricultural products are lifted. He further mentioned that Russia's grain harvest is expected to reach 130 million tons this year, with an export potential of 60 million tons. While Putin expressed openness to the grain deal, he cautioned Ukraine against potentially misusing grain export routes for military purposes. Erdogan informed that Turkey has been working together with the United Nations on a new package of proposals, expressing confidence that these proposals will help facilitate the resumption of the grain deal in the near future. Putin also emphasized Russia's commitment to supporting global food stability by continuing to export food and fertilizer. To contribute to addressing the global food crisis, Russia, Turkey, and Qatar will collaborate to deliver 1 million tons of Russian grain to countries in need. However, this initiative should not be seen as an alternative to the Black Sea grain deal. In addition to the grain deal, the two leaders discussed various aspects of bilateral energy and trade relations, including the joint construction of the Akuyu nuclear power plant. Putin announced that the plant's first unit is expected to be launched next year. Furthermore, he confirmed Russia's readiness to establish a regional gas hub in Turkey in order to supply gas to third countries. The Ukrainian crisis was also on the agenda, and the leaders deliberated on global ceasefire proposals aimed at achieving a political settlement. Putin expressed gratitude to Erdogan for his mediation efforts, underscoring Russia's readiness for dialogue. Erdogan reciprocated by confirming Turkey's willingness to act as a mediator between Russia and Ukraine, emphasizing their commitment to fostering long-lasting peace and stability in the region. It is essential to foster open discussions and invite the audience to share their opinions on this topic. What are your thoughts on the potential revival of the Black Sea grain deal? Do you believe it can positively impact global food stability? Feel free to share your viewpoints in the comments section below.